सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। मेरी आवाज पहुंच रही है? Am I audible? As I can see that many of you can understand only English. Keeping that in mind, I would speak a bit in Hindi, a bit in English. Is it okay? Yes. Thank you. So, in the text Tolkappiya, as you have heard already, that it consists of many three parts. The first part deals with phonology or phonetics. You can say the second part deals with morphology, syntax, the other grammatical structure, and the third part is not that grammatical, but it has to do with you would say poetics, rhetorics, and not only poetics and rhetorics, but so many things. Let's talk about life in general, human existence, and which has been classified not only in Tolkappiya but the whole, I guess, in the whole Tamil literature. This classification you must be aware and well familiar with what you say Akkam and Puram. You are well familiar with these two terms. So the very part which I am going to deal with, it has to do with Akkam, not related to Puram. And I am happy that I am given this portion because I feel like I am into more into Akkam domain because earlier I was studying history. So when I was studying history, it was more to do with Puram. I mean the war and then victory and the fall and down of dynasties and all. And after many years of studying history, I turned to philosophy and literature both, anyway. And it was like turning from Puram to Akkam, where you talk about the inner reality, subjectivity, human existence, and its individuality from its center, not from outside, from inside. So I appreciate this division of Akkam and Puram, which has been given by the Tamil literature in general and in Tolkappiya in special. So this third portion of Tolkappiya, which is known as Poruliyal. This Poruliyal is again divided into 9 sections, and I guess all three parts are also divided into 9 sections. So that way, Poruliyal is also divided into 9 sections. So among those 9 sections, what I am going to talk about is Poruliyal. So what is Poruliyal? What is the subject matter of Poruliyal? Before I go into detail, I wish to talk about the earlier, the section of Poruliyal. So Poruliyal starts with Akkam, I mean the domain of Akkam, right? Yeah. I am talking about Poruliyal. Is and those 9 sections, the earlier sections I am talking about. So then, second is Poruliyal, and after going detail of Akkam and Poruliyal, formation of ACCAM, because ACCAM stands for the man and woman universe which is made by man and woman, and their bond. This is the epitome of ACCAM. A man and a woman come together and make a universe in sync. The Shiva and Shakti, you can say it that way, yin and yang. So the whole symbiotic frame of universe, Shiva Shakti as remembered in Shaiva philosophy. So the relationship, the mode of relationship, and the two kinds of relationship. One is relationship like which you call in Hindi cook the brain. You can understand relationship, you can understand love. And other is that love which is within the purview of marriage. You call that first one is Tolkappiya and the other one is Tolkappiya. Tolkappiya and Tolkappiya. So Tolkappiya and Tolkappiya are the third and fourth section of Poruliyal. And what I am going to deal with is the fifth one, that is Poruliyal. So what is the subject matter of Poruliyal and what exactly Poruliyal means? So this word Porul has many connotations, not one. So many meanings you can understand by this term Porul. And in Hindi we can call it Vishaya. Vishaya Khan means those things about which we talk about. And sometimes we also talk about this Porul thing, its meaning, those subject matter, and you can say also subject matter. So what are the subject matter? Subject matter for whom? Subject matter for poets. What does poet deal with? एक कवि के लिए क्या विषय वस्तु होते हैं अपने रचना के लिए, उसकी रचना की विषय वस्तु क्या है एक कवि की? तो जो आंतरिक जीवन है उस आंतरिक जीवन का वर्णन करना और संबंधों की जो दो प्रकार हैं उनमें वर्णन करना, तो पोरुल शब्द को शब्दार्थ, आशय, धन, संपत्ति, वस्तु, बर्तन, सत्य, यथार्थ, स्वर्ण, चार पुरुषार्थों में एक, ऐसे अनेक अर्थ दिए गए। और ये जो पोरुल होता है इसको हम तीन तरीके की भूमियों में, तीन तरीके के मोड में, there are three modes of porul that also have to keep in mind. And the first is Muttal, Garu and Puri. So to understand, to talk about porul, we need to talk about these three modalities, these three frames, I would say. When we see a picture, there is a background, there is a foreground, there is a middle ground, something. So in a picture, what comes as background? Sky, and foreground, the actor with his activity. So this Muttal, what is Muttal? It is necessary background for everything, and in short, philosophically we can say time and space. Everything happens in time and in space. So time and space coming together are called as mutal. Then this is I would say this is the necessary background for anything to happen. Anything happens in the space, anything happens in the time. So beyond mutal, we come to Kuru. What is Kuru? So in Kuru, the tangible reality, trees, mountains, rivers, human beings, animals, flora and fauna, all these can be contained, can be described under Kuru. And then what about the last one? Uri. So all those objects, including human beings, they are not static. They are in some way, they are with some activities, motion, movement. So those movements related with the Kuru domain, they fall under this Uri. So after describing the Porul and its three modalities, three frames of Mutal, Kuru and Uri, I wish to now come to the subject matter of this Poruliyal portion of Tolkappiya, Poruliyal, the fifth chapter. I would say this is 23rd. Actually, this is 23rd chapter of Tolkappiya, and the verse number 1132, the verse number 1181. This from 1132 1181. So this number of couplets, this number of verses is in the chapter 23rd of the Poruliyal section of the Tolkappiya. Actually, this section is very miscellaneous type, which we call in Hindi Prakirna. All those couplets, all those verses are not interrelated. They are free and independent verses. So, because it deals with those things which are not been covered in these two, form of atom, which we call colloquial and tertial. What have been remained untouched? Those things have been discussed in this section. So there are discrete verses, not interconnected, just one verse to other verses, but there are possibility to seek interconnectivity among verses, but most of the time they are discrete. So the very most of the verses deal with the two kind of love relationship, Gupta Prem and Dampatya Prem. Gupta Prem to say clandestine love affair, and Dampatya Prem, that is marital love. So the main focus is these two kind of modality of relationship, but beyond that, there are many things which have been discussed in this portion, which has directly to do with poetics, rhetorics, and also about the poetic expression. If I had to choose a Hindi word, what this is all about, in Hindi there is a word, there is a phrase which we know as Kabhi Samay. So this whole thing you can call it a Kabhi Samay. Samay is not that time. Samay is Shistachar, the ideal, which is instructed for poets to follow. Some basic instructions for poets. When they compose love poetry, there are some pointers they should keep in the mind and use in their poetry. This is the whole thing, a kind of manual for poets. Because you have to keep in the mind the psychology of heroine, the psychology of hero, and their associates. And so the psychological nuances of the hero and heroine and their associates, these are something to which the author tried to draw attention. But the very beginning, the verse number 1130, it's about meaning remains unaltered. No matter you change the sequence of words, whatever you write as your poetic diction, your poetry, the meaning remains intact, अक्षुण्ण. अर्थ अक्षुण्ण रहता है. अगर शब्दों का अनुक्रम परिवर्तित भी हो, तो उससे काव्यार्थ का स्वरूप बाधित नहीं होता. तो अर्थ की जो अक्षुण्णता है, उस पर उसका प्रतिपादन जो है इस पहले जो है वर्ष में किया गया है. उसके बाद उसके तुरंत बाद नायक और नायिका के कुछ ऐसी वचन व्यक्तियों, कुछ ऐसी अभिव्यक्तियों की बात की जा रही है जो स्वाभाविक अभिव्यक्तियां नहीं है, जिसको यहाँ के हिंदी अनुवाद में भाविक व्यक्तियां कही जा रही हैं. अपूर्ण या उसको कह लें कुछ बात, मन की बात जो जुबान पे नहीं आए, मन में ही रहे और हम खुद से कहें. तो नायक और नायिका के संप्रेषण की बहुत सारी जो है विधा हो सकती है. नायक और नायिका के संप्रेषण की एक विधा होगी एकालाप. एकालाप अर्थात मोनोलॉग. जब आप नितांत अकेले हैं, there are no one around you, you are all alone. You are suffering the pangs of separation, and you want to say something, you want to express something. To whom to say? To your own self. Talking to your own self. Monologue. So here other talk about the monologue. तो जब हम एकालाप की स्थितियां कैसे उत्पन्न होती है, प्रेमार्थ कैसे उत्पन्न होती है. When the नायक या नायिका जब प्रेम के आधिक्य से अभिभूत है, तो वह कुछ ऐसी बातें कहेगा जो सामान्य तर्क बुद्धि, ज्ञान, व्याकरण उसकी सीमाओं से उसकी सीमाओं का अतिक्रम कर जाता है. He will go irrational. And so here the author says that when someone is in monologue, don't expect him to be rational, because he will going to break so many conventions, which is norms and conventions of rational way of talking. Because आपको याद है रामायण में what happens in Ramayana and after the abduction of Sita, you see the Ram. What does Ram do? He talks to, animals, trees, everyone. And that cannot be treated as something rational way of behaving. But Ram indulges in that kind of irrational behavior because his heart is full of grief, and just because of his love for Sita. So he talked to animals and trees and all about whereabouts of Sita. So here Abba says that when you enter into monologue, you talk to your heart. अपने हृदय से बात करते हैं और हृदय को ऐसा मान लेते हैं कि वह भी आपकी तरह एक जीवित व्यक्ति है, वह आपको रिस्पॉन्ड करेगा. He is capable of responding your talk, your sentences, like a living human being. So you talk to your heart, and you suppose that your heart will respond to you. So you ascribe voice to your heart. So your heart you don't have voice, but you project voice onto your heart. You ascribe action to your heart, though you action less, but you ascribe and project actions to your heart. So in this part, the author talking about that there are certain situations when hero and heroine, नायक और नायिका को एकालाप रूपी अभिव्यक्ति का आश्रय देंगे. और एक और सूरत है प्रेम आदित्य में, एक तो एकालाप हो रहा है, दूसरी बात कुछ चीजें जो रह जाती हैं जिनकी अभिव्यक्ति हमारे अचेतन मार्ग से होनी है, स्वप्न के माध्यम से. तो उसकी तरफ भी इशारा किया है अगले वर्ष में कि किन्हीं कारणों से अगर प्रेम प्रसंग में व्यवधान उत्पन्न होता है तो वह अपनी अभिव्यक्ति स्वप्न में प्राप्त है. तो स्वप्न भी एक ऐसी अवस्था होगी जहां अभिव्यक्ति घटित होगी. In dream, when there are conspicuous impediments in the way of meeting, it will occur in dreams. अब उन्हीं लव अफेयर्स, उन्हीं प्रेम प्रसंगों में किसी को दूसरे तरीके का स्वप्न आता है. नायक और नायिका के जो स्वप्न है वो उनके संगम, उनके संगमन, उनके संयोग से संबद्ध है. परंतु जो नायिका की माँ है, she is also kind of countering some kind of nightmare, which can be called nightmare for for heroine's mother. She is afraid of what if she is going to she will elope with her lover, so she is facing a kind of nightmare. उसको सपना ये आ रहा है कि ये भाग जाएगी. तो सपने जो है उसी प्रसंग में अन्य व्यक्तियों को अन्य प्रकार के आ रहे हैं. और ये जो एकालाप है, जो मोनोलॉग है, वह केवल नायक और नायिका के बीच के संबंध में नहीं है. कुछ और भी पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं who will going to participate in this monologue. Who are those? So सखी, नायिका की जो सखी है उसकी जो धाय माता है, which you can call in English the foster mother and the mother of the heroine, नायिका की माता। तो ये चार जो कैरेक्टर्स हैं जो सीधे सीधे नायिका से कौन कौन, नायिका, नायक ऑलरेडी, नायिका है, नायक है, उसकी सखी है नायक। अभी जिस प्रसंग में हम बात कर रहे हैं, नायिका की जो धाय माता है, उसकी जो फॉस्टर मदर है, उसकी जो रियल मदर है, द मदर, द फॉस्टर मदर, द कॉन्फिडेंटली her associate, and the heroine. These four people, they can also take recourse to some kind of monologue when there is a lack of dialogue among them due to certain situation. They are not open to them. There are some I would say hindrances, deadlock among themselves.